back to Let's Talk It Out with Miss Olmos. Thank you so much for coming back to learn about our next guest. I'm so excited for you to meet her. Life gets so busy sometimes that we don't have the opportunity to get to know those around us. So I hope that with each episode, you get to see more of people through their heart and less of what we see on the outside. Today, our guest is Mrs. Williams. She is our elementary counselor, and I'm so thrilled that you are here to learn more about her. Hello, Miss Williams.
Hello.
So happy to have you here today.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
How are you feeling?
I'm good.
Feeling good?
Mm-hmm.
Feeling excited?
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I told in the last episode that I had told y'all about this maybe in February, but when I think back, I want to say I told y'all pretty early in the semester, and it just took me a while to get it going.
Yes.
So to be here with you, and I just feel excited. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be sharing this moment with you and just get to know you a little bit more. Even though I know some history to these questions, I'm excited for our listeners to hear more about you, and overall, just super blessed, super excited. Before I start with the questions, I want you to be comfortable.
Okay.
And if you're nervous, hopefully in the next few minutes, you feel a little less nervous and it's just us having some girl time.
Okay.
Say pass or just say, no, not going to answer that if you don't feel comfortable with the question.
Okay.
I want you to be comfortable. So here we go. Mm-hmm. Let's start out with how you and I met. We met back in
2021.
I was going to say 2011. No. So 2021.
Yes.
We met through an interview.
Yes.
You were interviewing for elementary counselor, was actually in this office. And you have a specific remembrance of that day. Tell me about that.
So I remember coming in, you and the principal at that table over there. And during the interview, one thing that intimidated me, that it kind of started just was I remember the principal said, well, she was the previous counselor here. So then I had that layer of, someone's going to judge me really hard because this is their old role. Like they're an expert and this is their school and this is their people. So I already had that layer of just don't freak out, just do your best. But I was freaking out. But then number 2, you didn't talk and you wrote things on paper, but you didn't respond with like body language or like a head nod or a smile. You just stared. So it was pretty intimidating being across from the expert in that position that is just judging you awkwardly. So yeah, it's fun. It's good times. And then I remember when I left, I told my family, I was like, she hates me. I'm taking this position and she hates me. So
I did not hate you.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting when you shared that with me the first time because I was thinking the complete opposite. I was like, she's stunning and she's so smart. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, she's going to be a better counselor than I am. No. So two different perspectives.
Yeah, we're both freaking out.
While you think I'm hating you, I'm like, yes, hire her. She's going to be good.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to be great. And I was so right. GB, so blessed to have you.
Oh,
so blessed to have you. So we worked. So this is our 4th year working together. The very first year, it was really like just getting to know each other, our work style, just different things about each other. And one of the memories that I'll forever cherish is we were in a different office and I had just made a phone call and I was by myself, but so nervous about the phone call that I just made that to give somebody the best visual is like when a boxer's getting ready for a match and they're like jumping and kind of punching in the air. I'm doing that, like trying to like catch my breath and decompress. You walk in, you have no idea what I'm even jumping around for. Uh-huh. But you start doing that and talking with me. You're just like, what's going on?
Yes.
What's happening? And I start explaining, like, oh my gosh, this is happening. And when I think back to that moment, I remember even texting you a meme of boxers.
Yes.
Because I was like, she gets me. She understands me. And I will forever cherish that.
I know. It was a good memory. And I remember thinking, I'm like, okay, like we gotta do this. Like whatever's about to happen, like it's intense, just getting that like jitter out. So yeah, I was there with you.
Yeah, I love that. What other funny memory do you have of us working together?
Funny memory? Okay, so it wasn't funny in the moment, but we had a situation with a student that was pretty intense. And I've worked in education a long time and never experienced anything like this. And I'll be honest, I pray I never do again. Because it was pretty.
I think I know where you're headed.
It rocked my world in so many different ways. But I remember originally a teacher came to me and said, we have this student and there's a situation I need your help on. So she explains it to me, and inside I'm freaking out because they didn't teach me this in school. Like, what is this stuff that they're giving me? And so the other side to this student is she only speaks Spanish. So I knew automatically, like, okay, I'm going to have Lizette help me regardless. But because you and I share, a lot of moral alignment and the same faith and all of that, like, there was just a lot of pieces to the situation. I was like, okay, good. Like, I'm glad we're on the same page for everything. Because sometimes when you walk into like war, you want someone who's got your back. You want to be ready. So I was like, Lizette and I are on the same page with this. So when we call this student in, after a pretty hard, in-depth conversation with lots of revelation, you leave. You get up and you leave.
I knew that was coming.
Mid conversation, might I add. And I remember freaking out, and I watch you walk out, and I say, "Where are you going?" Because I remember thinking, like, I can't do this without my right hand man. Like, where are you going? First of all, I can't speak to her. Second of all, I don't know how to fix this without her. Like, she's my person. Where is she going? And I remember telling the student, Luciento, several times. I probably didn't even say it correctly. I probably didn't say it correctly then. But trying to apologize because I didn't want her to freak out on me alone. So it was a good memory later. I remember laughing about it later, but in the moment, I was not laughing. I was not in a good place.
The funny thing is that you're bringing in the other side to Miss Schrader's story.
Yes.
She was not in the office, and so
Yes.
if you have not listened to Miss Schrader's interview, she talked about that
same day,
same day, but on the other side, how I came out and started fanning myself
Yes.
and like, what's happening? She had no idea. So both of you are like, why is she laughing?
Yeah.
Why is she leaving?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I laugh about that. I
Yeah.
laugh about that often.
We survived.
We survived.
Yeah.
And now it is a funny memory.
It is.
That
It's
we
one of my favorites.
think
actually.
back on and we can tell our kids about. Like, you won't
Yeah.
believe it.
Yeah.
If we wrote a book,
girl, we'd
top
be
seller.
millionaires.
Top seller.
Yeah, for sure.
I know a lot about your adult life,
Mm-hmm.
but I want you to take us back to like childhood, Tasha. Like,
Okay.
what your parents did.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about your childhood?
Mm-hmm.
Things that stand out to you about little kid Tasha.
Okay, so I am the youngest of three. I have two older sisters. We are close in age and close as a family. My parents were great parents. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until I think I was an 8th grader when she decided to go back to school to get her degree to be a teacher, actually. But my dad worked 2 jobs his whole life. He worked for a meat market. He worked for, it was called CIG, Colorado Interstate Gas. He worked there for 20 plus years. He worked as a carpenter the latter part of his life. And so he's just always been very hardworking. So my parents taught me a lot. My mom taught me about love and God and all of the things it takes to build a home. And then my dad taught me the hard lessons about life and about hard work and to be strong and to be try to always do the right thing, even when it's hard. And I just remember, growing up and seeing them model good things. And my sisters and I probably gave them a run for their money. We, growing up, we were close, but I was the baby and I was probably very annoying. And so I remember a lot of times after they reached middle school and I was still in elementary, being alone. Like, they would go off with their friends or be involved in middle school sports, and I was still Kids Inc., and that wasn't cool. And everything I did, I'm sure, wasn't cool. So I remember that's when I got a dog. My parents bought me a dog. my grandfather is a mechanic in his spare time. And he had this little motorcycle. And I would ride around on my motorcycle in the neighborhood. And it was like legit a motorcycle. Like it's just mini. So I just thought it was really cool with my dog and my motorcycle. So even though I was alone, I had fun. So it was good.
Yeah. A house full of girls. You're the baby. And you recently told me about a story, not too long ago, actually. And you accidentally put diesel in your dad's truck.
Yes.
I want to add in your defense.
Yes.
Your car
please.
On a regular basis
Takes diesel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I told him to go, because you texted me, and I said, "Oh no, Tasha just put diesel." And he's like, "How do you do that if the
nozzle
doesn't fit?" But you said it did.
It does. It's actually the reverse. So in my car, it does take diesel, and in my car, if you put the regular gasoline nozzle in there, it will not fit. So it's the reverse. And I told my dad, that's the dumbest thing ever. They should make it to where the nozzle fits the car. So that way this never happens to anyone ever again. But yes, in a diesel car, you can only put diesel. But in a gas car, a diesel nozzle will fit too. So
we need to write a letter.
I know. Complain. Tell somebody. Yeah, I did that. I'm dumb.
Through this, though, I really want our listeners to share or to hear what your mom shared, the perspective of your dad having 3 girls because he wanted a boy.
Yes.
He had boy names and, so can you tell me about that perspective your mom shared?
So let me preface with, I tried really hard to fix it before I caved and called him. We sat in the car for about 2 hours before I finally caved because, 1, I have a lot of pride. 2, I like to fix things myself. So, I was Googling like all sorts of ways to siphon the diesel out of the truck. I even called the police first. That was my first call. I called the police, which probably made them, have a good laugh later. And I asked them, could they come get me to take me to a mechanic shop so I could buy a siphon kit so I could siphon the gas? Or did they know a mechanic? But the time, it's a tiny town and there was nobody around, and they put me on hold for about 8 minutes. And I remember thinking, they are probably putting me on hold to laugh at me because it is probably the dumbest conversation that they've had all day. Because it's just such a female, stereotypical dumb blonde thing. But anywho, after I called all the people, all the things, trying to figure it out, I called a friend in Gruber. He's handy, and his wife was like, Tasha, she's like, I'm so sorry, but he said you're going to have to probably call and get it towed. And I was just like, oh my gosh, my dad's going to kill me. So when I finally called my daddy, I was like, don't worry, I'm already getting it towed. I've already got a tow truck on the way, which I actually hadn't got a hold of anyone yet. But I wanted him to know I was prepared. I've got it taken care of. But I just said, I want to let you know that I did something really dumb. And that's got to be the hardest start to a conversation. Just so you know, when your kids call you and say, hey, mama, I did something really dumb, your mind goes a billion different places. Did you get in a wreck? Did you get arrested? Probably the worst case scenarios. But I just said, I'm stuck on the side of the road. Your truck is fine, but I put diesel in it. And he's like, okay, I'll fix it. And then just hung up because that's the way he communicates. So then I called Mama to cry. And I said, Mama, I did something really dumb. Daddy's going to, come home and tell you about it later. And she said, Tasha, God knew that your daddy was a good, strong man who could fix things. So he gave your dad, me, and 3 girls, so he would always be able to be that man. So it kind of, obviously, she's brilliant, but she was doing it because she was showing that my dad is a good man and he's going to be there and he's going to fix it. So don't beat myself up for it, which I did. But it was a good moment to be reinforced with everyone makes mistakes. You're not dumb. It's okay. It was a good moment.
Well, I agree with all of the above, but specifically the part where, she's explaining, God gives you exactly what you need. Most importantly, who you were made to be, because he probably prayed for boys or something.
Yes, and he got me.
But, no. But he was called to be a daddy.
Yeah, to girls.
To girls. And that's just perfect for These girls who put diesel in his truck.
I know. And I know he's probably thinking, gosh, I just want her to stop driving it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, one day.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Tasha in high school? Sports?
Sports. I did volleyball and loved it. Played my heart out. Wish I would have kept going. I did. We had a program called PALS, and it was in the school to those that maybe were pursuing an education degree or interested. It was kind of like a Big Brothers Big Sisters, but we would go to neighboring elementary schools, and we would be the extra hands or extra support to the classroom teacher for a class period. So like, I don't know if it was like 6th or 7th or 8th period, but you were over there a good hour, working with the students, tutoring, helping do stuff. So it gave you a little bit more knowledge into if that's something you want to do. I did that. I participated in a lot of clubs. I did a lot of, I'm sure, really dumb high school things. But it was good. I had a good high school. Yeah,
What was your first job?
So I loved the mall. I loved it. And I worked at several places in the mall. I would hop around. First, I went to Journeys for Kids, the shoe store. And side note, the first tattoo I ever got, I actually paid for in exchange for buying someone's shoes with my discount. So I remember, which I was way too young to get a tattoo, but I went to the tattoo parlor, and the tattoo artist, when I told him where I worked, he said, oh, I want these new shoes that are coming out. And I was like, well, I can get them for you. And he was like, for how much? And so I told him my discount. And so that's how I paid for my tattoo. I bought him the shoes. Anyway, so I did that. And then I worked at Express. I loved it. And then I worked at Abercrombie. Loved it. It was probably my favorite. And then I worked at Hollister. Loved it. And so every paycheck went to my obsession with clothes. So I never got paid. I just kept buying clothes. It was great. I loved it.
Those are some pretty cool jobs.
Yeah.
Pretty cool
Fun
jobs.
time.
Customer service and
yes, I love
like really having to interact with people.
Yeah. I loved it. It was fun.
That is fun. Is there a funny story that your family likes to share about you that maybe you don't like that they share?
Oh. I'm trying to think. I don't know if it's funny to me.
I'm gonna give you time to think, but I'm like, do I really want to say this? But yes, let's say it. It's funny. So Miguel used to live in California.
Okay.
And I'm not proud of this, just so and you drive through Arizona, through the desert, and it blew my mind that you drove through the desert, because in my mind, I'm thinking camel,
okay.
windy,
Yeah.
you cannot see,
Yeah, like
you know, like
desert.
it's just. And so one day I asked Miguel, how do you drive through the desert? And he was like, well, there's a road. What are you picturing?
Yes.
I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm like, how do you get a vehicle through all of that? But anyway, it's funny, but
yeah,
literally.
like that's not what you're picturing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that story, because now I can tell you the story that my dad likes to share, which it isn't embarrassing because I was young, but it's embarrassing because I'm smarter than that. Like, not that I'm brilliant by any means, but I'm smarter than that. Like, the way it portrays me is very blonde, very dumb. And I was young, okay? So my Aunt Chandra lives in New Mexico. And so this is back when, after we would eat dinner, my dad may turn on the TV and watch the news. Like, that's just how it was broadcasted. There was no, technology to tell you an update of what was happening in the world. So I had grown up hearing bits of the news, but I never sat down and watched the news. That was not my forte. I was probably 6 or 7, like first, second grade, young. And my dad, during dinner, we were talking about my Aunt Chandra, and I don't know what the topic of conversation was, but I don't know if I got emotional or I got upset about something. And I just remember asking my family, why does Aunt Chandra live in Mexico where the president is Saddam Hussein? because I'd heard bits and pieces about this Saddam Hussein person, and in my mind, I thought he lived in Mexico, and I didn't understand why my Aunt Shander would choose to live there when he was not a good person. So it was all wrong. She lived in New Mexico, where the president is the same as mine, and I don't know. I was so he loves
Mexico.
Yes,
President was
Saddam Hussein, who was not even Spanish. I know, really, really stupid. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not that dumb. I promise I'm not that dumb. But again, hearing bits and pieces on the news, like, that was the time where, like, I know.
That's a really
And I hate
good
to say it because it makes me sound really, really white, too. But that's just what happened. I can't even fix it.
But you were little.
I was shocked.
My desert story, Megana, we're
Shocked.
dating, so I can't even use that excuse. I guess I'm like, I don't know. I don't travel. I'm not exposed to that stuff.
But that's the other side. Like,
different scenario.
Yes,
scenery.
politics and geography are not my strength. I can do directions. I don't mind looking at a map and finding my way. Like, I'm good with that, but it's not my strength. Like, English is my strength. So even like and the reason that story comes up is because when we play Taboo, my sister and I have these weird like connectors. So when you play Taboo, you can't say certain words, right? Or they buzz you. So they would always say the president of Mexico, and the answer is always Saddam Hussein. So when my sister and I are on a team, she's like, the president of Mexico, and I'm Saddam Hussein. And then everyone who's playing against us is like, what does that even mean? Because it doesn't connect to anyone's brain, but it's just an embarrassing
So
story.
you needed to add that context, because that makes much more sense.
Yeah, like it comes up in conversation because he either tells people to embarrass me, and it does, or because I went in Taboo because I have this weird connection. Like, for a long time, Al Gore was the president with the big nose. Like, I just have the dumbest things with presidents and all geography.
Well, that's not my thing either. But
Yeah.
that is a cute, funny story. I'm not going to lie.
Cute.
That's going to give me the giggles every now and then.
So dumb.
I'm not going to lie about that.
I just don't know what's wrong with me.
That's a cute story. Let's talk about Carter.
Yes. My love.
Beautiful Carter, smart Carter, being so successful nowadays. And I just love to hear about her. You always knew you wanted to be a mom. You told me that. You just knew.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted several kids.
I did. 6.
Yeah. What has motherhood taught you?
So, Carter is great. She was very hyper as a baby. I remember I had her in college, and I remember even being in some of my educational classes thinking, I don't know how I can deal with more than one of these kids, because she was like a ping pong ball. She was everywhere doing all the things. She didn't sit down to even watch a movie all the way through until she was 9. She would run. Like, Hannah Montana had come out a few years before she was born, and I'm not a Hannah Montana fan. But the only that theme song, like, you get the best of both worlds, like, that theme song would come on, and she would sing that first line and then run and do like cartwheels and jump off the couch. So anyways, I learned a lot of patience. I wouldn't say I'm the most patient person typically. I have a little bit less than I think most moms do, but she taught me patience. But mainly she taught me what love is and what it is not. And she taught me about sacrifice. My dad, like I told you before, worked 2 jobs his whole life. And because I was in school when I had her, and then I had to get a full-time job to support her, and then I went to college full-time. I had received a scholarship that dictated how many hours I had to have and how my grades had to be to maintain that. So there was a lot of pressure for me to continue. And so I just learned a lot about sacrifice. Like, I remember, having to wake up and feed her. I get her dressed, take her to Tamara's, which was her daycare lady, drive to WT, be in class all day, drive to work, be at work till 6:37, and then go pick her up and do it all over again. And it was exhausting, and it was hard, but she was worth it. Oh, she was so worth it.
What are your prayers for Carter?
So Carter's about to be in college. She graduates this year, and most people, like my mom, prayed for years for our spouses. For years, just prayed for our spouses. And I feel like I fell off the wagon on that because there were so many other things I was praying for. And I don't really think of her getting married right now like that. I mean, my mom said she prayed for our spouses when we were babies. I'm like, why? Like, we were babies, you know? You should have been praying for, like, us to get on formula so you wouldn't have to breastfeed us anymore. You know, things like that. Just life stuff, you know, pray for us to get out of diapers. Like, you just pray for the next stage. So here lately, I have been praying for her spouse. I've been praying that she finds her path. She's going a different route than anyone I know has ever gone. And so it's kind of scary. She's my artist, and I'm so proud of her for that. But when you hear an art major, it just kind of scares you. So I've prayed for her path. I've prayed for her friends, because I feel like between a boyfriend and friends, those are your biggest influences in college. And so I want her to have a good surrounding of like accountability and fun and Jesus and all the good things. But yeah, I pray for all the things. I pray for her all the time.
I know she'll be successful, and she has had such a great example in you. I admire the mom you are. I admire just how much you just teach her and are there for her, and how strong you are for her. She's going to be beyond successful, and you play such a huge part in that. I know God is in her life, but the fact that God gave her you as a mom, such a big gift.
Thank you.
Such a big
She
gift.
is a gift.
Such a big gift. We're gonna move on to just some random questions. Hopefully questions that you don't have to think too deeply into. What does your morning routine look like?
Okay, so I am a morning person. Typically, on a good morning, I will get up about 4 to 4:15, and I will go work out. And then, depending on how sweaty I get, will depend on if I have to wash my hair or if I could throw some dry shampoo in it and just blow dry, which is gross, I know, but whatever. So I'll come home, take a shower, and either wash my hair or go home, take a shower, and dry shampoo that thing. And then about, 6, I will do my devotion. And that lasts anywhere between 6 and 7 or 6 and 6:30, depending on how deep God wants to take me. And so then after that, Carter gets up about 7. And so then it's usually like trying to get everything together within like 20 minutes, because I live in Groover. I have to leave my house no later than 7:20 to get here by 7:40. So, and I speed. So I have to just make sure all the ducks are in a line. So that's getting the dog out. That's making sure, like we have whatever's going to be cooked for dinner. That's making sure that I've signed whatever papers she forgot to tell me about the night before. Or can I find my calendar, because I can't leave the house without my calendar. So that's probably a typical. On Saturdays and Sunday, the problem with me is I'm pretty cyclical and pretty rhythmic. So I wake up at 4:30. And so that's the hard thing, is there's really not a time that I'm not up in the morning. But I crash at like 9. Like if I'm not doing anything, then I'm asleep by like 9:30. And I'm just not a night person. Like I've tried to be, but if I'm at home, I'm gonna be in bed by like 9:30.
Yeah. I admire anybody who could wake up that early and work out on a regular basis. Kudos to you. Biggest pet peeve for Miss Tasha?
So, oh gosh, I know a lot of my annoyance comes from driving. I do speed often. I like to go fast. I am always in a competition in my head with somebody, even though they're not even playing the game. They're playing the game, and you know that because we've counted envelopes and done, awards, and I'm like, done. And you're like, what? So Carter knows that I have to go fast and I have to be first. And so my pet peeve comes from when people probably drive in the left-hand lane, the passing lane, and they stay there. They don't get over. And so I don't like ride someone's tail or anything. I'm not rude, but I will talk to them and tell them how I feel as if they can hear me. And then once they pass, I will zoom past them and then get in front. So I hate people that stay in the left-hand lane. They
You
just
know,
drive in it.
You're speaking Miguel's love language.
Yeah.
He is like that. Have you ever seen the movie Road Rage, though?
Yes, I'm not that person.
Well, I'm not that you're that person, but
I
there's
know.
crazy people out there, so
I
even
know.
if somebody annoys you, you just keep
Oh,
talking
yeah.
like they
Never
can
look
hear
out
you.
your window, first of all.
Never
right?
look out your
Especially
window.
with your kid in the back seat. No, I don't even acknowledge them. I just drive fast. Yeah.
I know you're not much of a coffee person,
Never.
so if you could just sit down and talk to a historical figure, who would that be?
That's a good question. There's a lot of people that come to mind. Obviously, like Jesus. Like, yes, who wouldn't want to talk to Jesus? He's Jesus. But we also have the Bible, so I feel like I talk to Jesus through that. But to like see him and be like, is this really legit? Or I have a billion questions. So yes, Jesus is one. I also think I'm a reader, so I think about like Jane Austen. She's one of my favorite authors, or just even Shakespeare. Like just people that I feel like made a difference in literature. I'd love to talk to them. But I'm not coffee, so I guess we would drink, I don't know, tea?
That's what I was like, you could drink something.
It's kind of lame.
Water?
Yeah, it's kind of lame. Sounds fun. But yeah, probably those people.
Jesus might turn it into wine.
Yeah, he will. And then it's a party. I love it. I'm there for it.
If you wrote a book,
Mm-hmm.
what would you write about?
I actually have thought about writing since I was young. The newspaper interviewed me when I was in elementary about what I wanted to be. And then I said I wanted to be an author and an illustrator. I cannot draw. I did not get that gift. But I think, honestly, like if I was brave enough, I would probably write about my life. And not make it an autobiography, because I don't want people to know it's about me. So it'd be in third person. It would not be the life of Tasha. But I have been through things that people can't imagine, and the things that I've experienced that people be like, no way, that happened. And so I think that it would legit be a good movie, or maybe a good story for someone to hear about overcoming, or about strength, or even just about, you can't make this up. Like this really does happen to people. Because there's a lot of things that I think would at least make me a couple of dollars, maybe one day.
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
Well, I hope that happens one day.
Maybe.
But when you said,
but now y'all are gonna know it's about me, so I'm gonna have to totally change everything.
You that could be easily done. But when you said that you wanted to be an illustrator, and what a perfect duo, like for you to write a children's book, and then Carter.
Boom. I mean, come on, God.
I gave you the idea.
Yeah, you did. I'll put you in my forward.
I gave you the idea. This doesn't have to be just one person.
Okay.
But who do you look up to?
Oh gosh, there's so many people. One is my older sister, because I feel like she is so strong in different ways, and she's been through some things. Some of them, shaped her, but all of them, if she makes mistakes, she apologizes and she owns it. And I love that. I think that there's such value in people owning and growing from things. So definitely her. My dad, because we're relatable in some of our weight that we've had to carry being in the home. I think I think there's probably some teachers that made an impact, but the problem is I really don't remember all of them. But really, I think it's probably my family, like just different characters that I've read in books that I thought, oh, like that's my sister, or people I've seen on TV that I'm like, that's cool, that's my dad. Like they're just inspirational. They could be on the star of some book as far as just being motivating. So probably them, my family.
I shared this with the staff one time, how like I live with voices in my head, but not like in a crazy way.
Are you sure?
But like my mom always says, if you're gonna do something, do it right. Each of my family members have a saying that they say often that I'm like, oh, they're in my head and a lot of my day to day.
It's like, what would Jesus do? But like, what would Mama do? Yeah.
Yeah, think about that throughout the day. Has someone ever pranked you and you really fell for it?
Nope.
No?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I know. That's so lame. April 1st, I suck. I know.
No,
But I did, whenever I worked at the middle school in Amarillo, we worked with an assistant principal that was Mel. There was a lot more men because it was a middle school and high school, and most men work that way because of coaching. But he was a big prankster, so he would always jump out and scare us or do like pranks. But no one, like, I can't really think of like ever someone pranking me or me pranking someone.
I'll have to tell you about the time my brothers pranked me, and I was still living with my parents. So
Okay.
I was in high school, and my Arturo he's 10 years younger than me. So he was little, and Berto's 3 years younger than me. All three of us still at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's those dumb lottery tickets.
Oh, yes. Actually,
those,
oh
my gosh. So I'm outside with my dad. We're like doing something, like working on a lawnmower or something, and Arturo and Berto come outside running. Oh my gosh. They run to us, and they hand me the lottery ticket. And I look at it, and it's one of those lottery tickets, like if you scratch off the same amount three times in a row, you won. Well, it's $10,000.
Yeah.
And in those split seconds, like 5 to 7 seconds, I'm like, oh my gosh, we won $10,000, right? And little turds. I was like, okay, everyone calm down. And then they start laughing, and I realized, what's happening? So I turned the lottery ticket around, and I'm like, but it was just so funny because I was ready to plans. We're going to be humble. And so oh my gosh, I remember that to this day. I fell for it so bad.
So on that note, again, not towards me, but my Uncle Randy every year for Christmas does a prank towards my dad. And I mean, it's just everything from, like, I think 2 years ago, he gave him a book that was said, all that Biden has done for us. And then you open it up and every page is blank. Like, just a gag gift or a prank. Like, he's just really witty and funny. But he did the same thing with the lottery tickets. And this was back when I was probably 9. And so, Tiffany's in high school, Tanya's in middle school, and then I'm in elementary or whatever. And however it aligned, we get it. And we got money, like we're winners. And my dad flips it over to see how to cash the lottery ticket. And it's like, at your mama's house or whatever, like that was one of the directions. And so then he knew it was fake. But by the end of it, we're all crying because Tiffany was like, I can get college paid for. And Tanya's like, I can get a new car. And I don't even know what my wish list was, but it was devastating. So not a prank towards me, but boy, did my Uncle Randy, like, we hated him that Christmas because he took away our fake money, So I get it.
Like, so, oh man, they got me good that time.
That's bad. That's so cruel.
Almost finished. Not too many questions left. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, I don't know if it's like personally received, but I think about, sometimes I feel like some of the best advice is the hardest to follow. And as I was thinking, it made me think, love God, love people. And that seems so simple, but that is so hard. Like, that's incredibly hard. So I wouldn't say it's like someone told me that personally, like Tasha, love God, love people. But when I think about advice, like the advice I want to try to follow, that's probably it. Love God, love people.
Again, sounds so simple, but what is that Bible verse that says, what credit do you get for loving the people who love you?
Love you? Yeah. Gotta love those.
Love those who are harder to love. I'm like, really? You want me to?
Yeah, but why?
Why? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wrapping it up, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as someone who was brave and someone that survived hard things. I think I'm brave in certain ways, but with adrenaline. Like, you tell me to jump off a mountain, okay. You tell me to climb, to the top of the tree or to swim the lake or whatever. Like, I don't think about the fear in that. But brave out of change or brave out of necessity, I think, is harder for me. And then I want to know that I was strong and I made it through. So, yeah.
Well, you're an MVP in my book. Mm-hmm. You are brave, strong, and all of the things.
Thanks.
You recently shared with our staff that you're leaving GBE.
Yeah, can I pass though? Yes, I know. It is incredibly hard, and I'm not going to cry. It is incredibly hard. I love working here. I love the staff. I love the kids. I love the school. And so it's incredibly hard. So yes, I'm leaving. And I hate it.
Me too.
I hate it.
Me too. And so I'm not great about quoting word for word, either Bible verses or quotes, but there's something that I've read or heard that in times when someone's moving on or losing someone, like just being grateful that you even have something to mourn per se, and that's kind of really, in the last few days, I'm like, God, thank you, because you helped me build a friendship that I'm going to miss. Not that your friendship will not
I'm like,
continue,
is it dying?
No, but like just having you here on a day-to-day, man, you've taught me so much about life, and golly, I'm gonna miss you.
I know.
I'm gonna miss you so much.
So I'm not gonna cry, so pass.
No, pass. Let's go. All right, rapid fire questions.
Okay.
You don't have to think too hard on these.
Okay.
Favorite Netflix show?
Anything with a Viking, like Uhtred, son of Uhtred, because he's hot, or anything with like kings and queens. But right now we're watching This Is Us, and we do like that.
Ooh, we're watching that too.
Mm-hmm.
Phone call or text?
Neither. Face to face, in person. Mm-hmm.
Okay. One meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh golly, just one? That's cruel. Probably I'm gonna go with pizza with pineapples and jalapenos. Mm-hmm.
Not a pineapple kind of person.
Yet.
Yeah. Sunrise or sunset?
Oh golly, both, because I love the sky. The sky is my favorite creation.
Facebook or Instagram?
Neither. I really don't like technology. I like face to face. Pinterest. Can I like Pinterest? Is that an option?
Favorite color?
Black.
Black. Mm-hmm. I like black. They asked me my favorite color for my birthday.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't have a favorite color because I like to wear black, but I don't necessarily like
it.
Black.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
The last thing that you Googled.
Oh. I mean, do you want me to look? It probably was probably directions from tennis yesterday. I was talking to Claudia about driving down a Caliche road, and she's like, oh, you don't go that way. And I was like, well, I legit went that way. Like, I came there. And so she was telling me the way to go. So I was trying to Google, like, why did I go that way for directions? So probably directions.
Now that you've told me your story about what your dad shares about New Mexico, and I'm like, did you Google who the president of New Mexico?
Oh, I should have.
Would you rather watch or start a movie or start a series?
Probably a movie, because I'm not a big TV watcher. Mm-hmm. So then it's done in 2 hours. Mm-hmm.
Well, Miss Williams, thank you so much for sitting down and just talking to me about all kinds of things.
It was good. It was fun.
You are a woman full of wisdom. Mm-hmm. You are a woman who I would say is one of the strongest people that I know. You are somebody that I admire so much. I've already told you I'm going to miss you. And I'm just so glad that you got to be a part of GBE. And man, you are leaving such a big impact, legacy, all of the things. You definitely taught me how to be better. And thank you so much.
Thank you same. So much. Ditto.
Thank you so much. This concludes our second episode. Remember that everyone has a story we may not know anything about. We will see you around, and don't forget that we love because He loved us first. Until next time.